Alright guys, real quick before I get into the video, I'm going to be showing you guys the winner of my giveaway. I was giving away a code to a free minty pickaxe. I actually have two codes. I'm giving away one in this video, and I'm also going to be giving away one next week. So make sure you guys do stay updated. Make sure you guys are subscribed, like, and comment so you guys can be chosen as a winner in my giveaway. I'm going to be giving away another code next week, so if you guys didn't win this one, don't worry. I'm still going to be giving away another one next week. So up on the screen is the winner of this giveaway. Thank you guys all so much for entering, and make sure you guys do check back in next week because I'm going to be giving away one more code. Alright guys, let's get right to the video. Hey, what is going on guys? It is Young here, and today I wanted to be talking about which controller in my opinion is the best to use for Fortnite. So for those of you guys who do play on controller, and you guys want to hear my opinion on which controller I think is the best to use, I'm going to be talking about a lot of the main ones, Xbox, PS4, Scuf, and Elite. We'll give my, honest opinion on all four of those controllers so you guys can have a better understanding on which controller I think is the best to use and why I use the controller that I do. And if you guys want to hear all the reasons for it, make sure you guys do stay to the end of the video because I'm going to be covering pretty much everything about the controller because I've tried all of them out myself. So this is my opinion on all the controllers. So first off, when I first got into playing, I played a lot of Call of Duty, I played a lot of Black Ops 1. I first had a PS3, so I played on the PS3 controller for at least a couple years. I mean, it was probably a good 3 years or so, maybe even 4. So I played that for a very, very long time. And then eventually I did end up going to Xbox. And the reason why I went to Xbox is because a lot of my friends played on it. The controller wasn't one of the things that I really had in mind for most of the time. So I ended up moving over to Xbox. And so while I was on Xbox, I played on that for pretty much now, from then till now. It's been a very, very long time I've had an Xbox controller. But in that process, I think about a year and a half ago, I ended up buying a PS4, and I did sell it a little bit time later, but I bought a PS4 because I got a pretty good price on it, so I ended up buying the PS4. I was probably just going to resell it, and that I do remember, it was back in like Season 2 or 3 of Fortnite, because I did play a few games with the PS4 controller, and the differences between the PS4 controller and the Xbox controller are a little bit different. The controllers they're pretty similar, but in a few ways they are different. I think those differences do make a big difference. And so the reason why I personally stayed on the Xbox controller specifically instead of the PS4 controller, I think the PS4 controller is pretty good, but for me, I do like how the analog sticks are staggered on the Xbox. I think that's very, very helpful. I don't know, honestly, when it comes to the two controllers, it really comes down to personal preference, but I do really like how the thumbsticks are staggered. I feel like that gives me a lot more control, whether that actually does or not. I think it does, and it feels a lot more comfortable personally for me. Coming from playing on PS3 for a very long time, and the thumbsticks were just how like they were on the PS4. So I did play on PS3, PS4 controller for a little bit of time, and I just like how the Xbox controller feels a lot more. And I think somewhere I heard that the Xbox controller might be a little bit bigger than the PS4, but not by much. I don't think it really is, because some people say, Xbox controller is better if you have bigger hands. But for me personally, I don't have big hands at all, and I have no problem using an Xbox controller. So I think the Xbox controller for me personally, just for that one difference alone, really makes, and also I do like the triggers way better on the Xbox. They feel a little bit more fluid than the ones on the PS4, but maybe it's just something you have to get used to. I just prefer to have the ones on the Xbox controller. So I do think the Xbox controller feels more comfortable to me. It's easier to aim with the staggered analog stick, so that's why I prefer it. Really, when it comes to those preferences, it really just is a personal opinion on which controller is the best to use, but I prefer to have the Xbox. I think it works best for me, so that's what I use. And so what I wanted to be talking next about is kind of a question that I get all the time, and that's if I use a Scuf controller, if I use an Elite controller, because Elite controller, they're made by Microsoft. They have the paddles, they have the grip, trigger stops, all that kind of good stuff. And Scuf also has are a lot similar. They have paddles, grips, all that kind of good stuff. You can adjust the trigger stops, all that kind of stuff. So they are very similar in a lot of ways, but there is a few small differences that I wanted to be talking about in this video on which I prefer an Elite controller, or if I prefer a Scuf controller. I used to have a Scuf controller, I still do. It's in my drawer. I think the left analog stick is broken, And I ended up getting that controller a long time ago. I actually got it. I do remember. I was playing Black Ops 3. So that's when Black Ops 3 was popular at the time. That's how long ago I got that controller. And I had it all the way up until I think it was about Season 2 of Fortnite. And then I ended up getting the Elite controller about Season 4 or Season 5. So around that time. So I had the Scuf controller for a very, very long time, and I didn't have the Elite controller till a little bit afterwards, but I've been playing the Elite controller for at least a couple years, so I do have a very good grasp on kind of the differences in controller. And of course they could have made some changes to the Scuf. I haven't bought from them since. I did buy one controller. I did really like it, but there was a few things in particular that I didn't like. I think the Elite controller had the advantage on, and that's why I went with the Elite controller. So first off, on the Scuf, I think the really good thing that I like about it is the thumbsticks. The only concern is that you have to replace the thumbsticks like once every like 8 or 9 months because they'll start peeling off. I'm not sure exactly what material they're made out of, but they do feel very, very comfortable. I end up having the dome ones on the controller, so it felt very good. And I do prefer those thumbsticks a lot. But if you guys end up using control freaks, then it really doesn't matter because you have control freaks over top of the analog sticks either way. But if you just use the analog sticks, I really do like the Scuf controller analog sticks. And also another really good thing about Scuf is you have a lot of customization options. With the Elite controller, I think, especially with the 2 that just came out, you only have the color black. And when it comes to Scuf controller, you can have literally any color. There's so many different options you can choose from their site, and there's just so many different customization options, colors, things like that. So that is pretty cool. And so they do have a lot of options in regard to that. And also, with that being said, it can get pretty expensive depending on what you get, and you might even be able to send in your own controller. I'm not sure if they still do this, or I haven't checked the website in a while, but I'm pretty sure you can send in your controller and you can get like a small discount because you wouldn't have to pay for the controller and then also everything on top of that. You might be able to do that. I'm not exactly sure. It's been a very long time since I've been to their site, but from what I can remember, that's, they did have that option available. So as far as the things I didn't like about the Scuf controller, so when I was playing on Call of Duty, I only used the jump button. That was kind of like the main concern for me and why I wanted to get a Scuf, because jumping, taking my finger off the analog stick, because I played on tactical, so I pressed the right stick down to crouch, but jumping was a pain to me, so I had to click the A button. I had to take my finger off the right analog stick to finally hit the jump button, which was kind of just annoying and frustrating. So I ended up having, I think I had 2 paddles, one on each side, and it was like the larger paddles. I pressed those and I used those to jump, which was very, very useful and also very helpful. And it was just something that I feel like was a really good experience. I didn't have any problem with that at all, but there was a few main concerns, and the first one was the trigger stops. I don't know if they end up changing this, but the way that you could do the trigger stops is, so on both the triggers you can manually adjust how far it can go down, which seems like a good idea in theory, because once you change the trigger stop distance, you can get to exactly what you want for individual games. But the only problem with that is if you switch games constantly, like if you play this game versus you play Minecraft, you play some 2K, whatever the case may be, some games require you to press the right trigger even further down. So that is something you have to take into consideration when you are playing different games. And it just was really annoying to keep constantly moving the trigger. I would honestly have a different controller when I played other games. It would just be my Call of Duty controller, and because it was just annoying changing. I don't know if they end up changing it to the way it is on the Elite, where you can just pull them down. I'm not sure exactly. They might still have it where you can adjust it exactly how you want. It is very, very nice, but also at the same time, if you're changing games constantly, it's just a pain to deal with. And on the new Elite controller, the Elite 2, the one thing that's very, very good is on that controller, you have 2 different options for the trigger stops. And the second option, when you press it all the way down, is pretty much the second that your left trigger hits the trigger stop is right when your gun ADSs or your gun shoots. So it shoots pretty much almost instantly. So it's a lot more convenient to just move that down versus having to get a little key and then manually adjust and trying to get even all the trigger stops every single time that you switch games. Super annoying to deal with, in my opinion. I don't know if they end up changing it. But as far as the paddles, that's another concern I had too, and one of the big ones as well. On the paddles, the inner 2 paddles are impossible to press. I'm pretty sure they made controllers now where they have it the same size, but as far as the differences between the Elite controller and the Scuf controller paddles are a lot more stiff. they're much harder to press down than an Elite controller. Elite controller is very easy to press. You can literally just tap it and it would press instantly, which is very good when you have a game like Fortnite and myself, and I use every single paddle. I'm constantly pressing them. I need them to be as easy to press as possible, and I don't have any problems where it accidentally presses or anything like that. You actually have to press the paddle down, but I've had no issues whatsoever when it comes to pressing the paddles down. So that's another really good thing I like about the Elite controller. And kind of the last thing that I liked as well is on the Elite controller, everything's magnetic. So the thumbsticks, if you want to take it off, you can literally just pop it off. The D-pad you can just pop off. The paddles you can just take off instantly if you want. With the Scuf, it's a lot more difficult and a lot more tedious to try to take them on and off. It's just one of those things that's such a pain. You better just leave them on no matter what. But at least with the Elite controller, you have a lot more options. And if you want to, you can just take them off, change them out whenever you want. So those are kind of the main differences between the two controllers, and just my opinion and why I use the Elite controller over the Scuf controller and also over the PS4 controller. So if you guys like this video, make sure you guys do drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on my post notifications so you guys are notified for every single new video. And alright guys, I'll see you next video.